Well, what are your thoughts about communism? The 20th century, I apologize. I'm reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich.
Oh my God.
So I'm like really steeped into like World War II and Stalin and Hitler and just these dramatic personalities that brought so much evil to the world. But it's also interesting to politically think about these different systems and what they've led to. And Russia is one of the sort of beacons of communism in the 20th century. What are your thoughts about communism, having experienced it as a political system?
I mean, I have only experienced it a little bit, but mostly through stories and through, seeing my parents, my grandparents who lived through that. I mean, it was horrible. It was
It's,
just plain horrible. It was just awful. Um,
you think there's something, I mean, it sounds nice on paper. there, there's
Maybe.
so like the drawbacks of capitalism is that eventually it's the point of like a slippery slope. Eventually it creates the rich get richer. It creates a disparity, like inequality of wealth inequality. If like I guess it's hypothetical at this point, but eventually capitalism leads to humongous inequality, and that's some people argue that that's a source of unhappiness. It's not like absolute wealth of people, it's the fact that there's a lot of people much richer than you. There's a feeling of like that's where unhappiness can come from. So the idea of communism, or at least sort of Marxism, is not allowing that kind of slippery slope. But then you see the actual implementations of it, and stuff seems to go wrong very badly. What do you think that is? Why does it go wrong? What is it about human nature? If we look at Chernobyl, those kinds of bureaucracies that were constructed, is there something like, do you think about this much of like why it goes wrong?
well, there's no one was really like, it's not that everyone was equal. Obviously, the government and everyone close to that were the bosses. So it's not like fully, I guess,
There's already
this
inequality.
dream of equal life. So, and I guess the situation that we had in the Russia had in the Soviet Union, it was more just a bunch of really poor people without any way to make any significant fortune or build anything, living constant under constant surveillance from other people. Like you can't even do anything that's not fully approved by the dictatorship, basically. Otherwise, your neighbor will write a letter and you'll go to jail. Absolute absence of actual law.
Yeah,
This constant
surveillance.
state of fear.
Yeah.
You didn't own anything. You didn't, you couldn't go travel. You couldn't read anything Western, or you couldn't make a career really unless you're working in the military complex. Which is why most of the scientists were so well regarded. I come from, both my dad and my mom come from families of scientists, and they were really well regarded, as you know, obviously,
Because the state wanted, I mean, because there's a lot of value to them being well regarded.
because they were developing things that could be used in the military. So that was very important. That was the main investment. But it was miserable. It was so miserable. That's why, a lot of Russians now live in the state of constant PTSD. That's why we, want to buy. And definitely, if as soon as we have the opportunity, we just got to it finally that we can, own things. I remember the time that we got our first yogurts, and that was the biggest deal in the world. It was
Yogurt?
already in the 90s, by the way. I mean,
What
the
was your like
yogurts.
favorite food where it was like, whoa, like this is possible?
Oh, fruit, because we only had
Yeah.
apples, bananas, and whatever, and whatever watermelons, whatever people would grow in the Soviet Union. So there were no pineapples or papaya or mango. Like you've never seen those fruit things. Like
Yeah.
those were so ridiculously good. And obviously you could not get any like strawberries in winter or anything that's not, seasonal. So that was a really big deal. Seeing all these fruit things.
Yeah, me too, actually. I don't know. I think I have I don't think I have too many demons or like addictions or so on, but I think I've developed an unhealthy relationship with fruit that I still struggle with.
Oh, you can get any type of fruit, right? You can
Yeah.
get like also these weird fruits like dragon fruit or something.
Yeah.
Or
All kinds of like different types of peaches.
oh,
Like cherries were killer for me. I know you say like we had bananas and so on, but I don't remember having the kind of banana. Like when I first came to this country, the amount of banana, I like literally got fat on bananas. Like the amount,
oh yeah, for
they're
sure.
delicious. And like cherries, the kind, like just the quality of the food. I was like, this is capitalism. This is,
That's pretty.
it's
That's pretty
delicious.
tough.
Yeah. 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 It's funny. It's funny. Yeah. Like it's funny to read. I don't know what to think of it. It's funny to think how an idea that's just written on paper, when carried out amongst millions of people, how that gets actually, when it becomes reality, what it actually looks like. Sorry, but been studying Hitler a lot recently, and going through Mein Kampf. He pretty much wrote out in Mein Kampf everything he was going to do. Unfortunately, most leaders, including Stalin, didn't read it. But it's kind of terrifying, and I don't know, and amazing in some sense that you can have some words on paper and they can be brought to life, and they can either inspire the world or they can destroy the world. And yeah, there's a lot of lessons to study in history that I think people don't study enough now. Although one of the things I'm hoping with, I've been practicing Russian a little bit. I'm hoping to sort of rediscover the beauty and the terror of Russian history through this stupid podcast by talking to a few people. So anyway, I just feel like so much was forgotten. So much was forgotten. I'm going to try to convince myself to, you're a super busy and super important person. Well, I'm going to try to befriend you to to try to become a better Russian, because I feel like I'm a shitty Russian.
Not that busy, so I can totally be your Russian Sherpa.
Sure. Yeah.